People are not gonna know what you want and what you need if you don't tell them. So I was first introduced to this topic by my therapist, who suggested me to introduce boundaries into my life, because every time I'd interact with my boyfriend, my family, or my friends, I felt so drained by every interaction I had with them. I was raised in Italy, so boundaries were never really a thing. Mental health was not a thing at all. If anything, people made fun of it. And since I learned about boundaries and I started to introduce them in my relationship, all my relationships got so much better. And so if you're looking to improve your relationship with your friends, your family, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband or wife, or even yourself, you've come to the right place. So what are boundaries? Imagine a line around you, and that line determines what you'll allow and what you won't allow. And although boundaries have a lot to do with what you want, what you need, and what you don't want and what you don't need, the purpose of boundaries is to create nurturing relationships. It's important that you don't just focus on your needs, but you also respect everyone else's needs. You always have to find a balance between you and the person you're making the boundaries with, unless the boundaries with yourself, and then that's what you decide and that's it. You don't have to consult anybody. So how do you set boundaries? The first thing I want you to do is really think. You need to dig deep on what it is that you want, what it is that you need, why you want it, and why you need it. Because oftentimes we react to things and we get upset, but we don't truly understand what upset us, but also why it upset us. So I want to invite you to really understand what's going on inside of you that makes you feel uncomfortable with certain things. To set real boundaries that will actually be beneficial to your life, you're gonna need to dig deep and really understand your why. Ask yourself questions like, what do I need? Why do I need this? What do I want? Why do I want this? And how is it gonna benefit my relationship? What am I missing from my relationship? And what do I want more of? And I know it's not the easiest thing, but I made a video last week about not caring what other people think, and I gave a lot of tips on self-love, so you might want to check that out. Then the next thing you're gonna have to do is set those boundaries and really be clear on what the boundary is and why the boundary exists. And I know it can be hard to be vulnerable, and I know you might fear rejection, maybe abandonment, maybe even conflict, but you're gonna have to share your boundaries, because people are not gonna know what you want and what you need if you don't tell them. The advice I can give you on how you can make this conversation a bit easier is to focus on I language. Make sure that the person doesn't feel like they've done something wrong. Even if they cross the boundary, make sure that they understand that it's not about what they have done, it's about how you feel about it. Say something like, I'm not blaming you, I'm not trying to make you feel guilty, this is about me. I know my experience of things might not be your experience of things, and it might not even be what's actually happening here, but this is how I am seeing it, this is how I am feeling, because based on past experiences that I've had that have nothing to do with you, this is how this is making me feel, and I want it to stop because X, Y, and Z. With these kind of things, it's very important to not make the other person feel like you're blaming them for your feelings. Your feelings are about you. You're the only person responsible for how you feel, but you are also responsible for guarding those feelings. So if something is upsetting you, you should let the other person know so they don't do it again. To switch the focus from how they've wronged you to how it can be fixed, and not because they've done something wrong, but because of how you feel, because of how your internal life is. Switch the focus from them to you, and never ever blame them for what's going on, because in reality it is not their fault, and it's not your fault, it's nobody's fault. It's just about your preferences and your needs and what makes you feel good, and that's what matters. It's not about blaming anybody. Make sure that you're making that clear. The last thing is be consistent. This takes a lot of self-awareness to realize whether somebody is crossing your boundaries and when they're crossing your boundaries, but you need to make sure the people around you, the people you set boundaries with, respect your boundaries. People, unfortunately, and I can tell you for experience, will need you to remind them over and over again about your boundaries, especially if it's something new to them. But it's really important you don't allow them to cross the boundary you set, and that you don't get upset or become aggressive. You can explain them the boundary again, explain them why you need them to respect that boundary. And I know it can be hard, but it's a step you must take in order to to improve your life. You need to set those boundaries and you need to make people respect them. And if that means repeating them on a loop, you'll have to repeat them on a loop. Maybe try a different way to explain it to them. Maybe even ask them to repeat it back to you to make sure they understood the boundary. And every time they break it, say, okay, we talked about this. This is a boundary I have. You shouldn't talk about this. You shouldn't be doing this. And remind them of the why you set that boundary and how it makes you feel that they don't respect it. And eventually they'll come around. Eventually that will be the only way to have a relationship with you, because if they're not respecting your boundaries, you should not allow them to be in your life. Don't let people walk over you. If you set a boundary, make people respect it. That's it. Like, there's no going around it. And if really in the worst case scenario this person keeps not respecting your boundaries, I'm sorry to tell you, but maybe this person is not meant to be in your life. And I'm not saying the first time this person crosses your boundary you have to kick them off your life, but you can explain them once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, however many times it's enough for you to be like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna find somebody who respects my boundaries because this is ridiculous. Okay, so be consistent. Don't let people walk over you, and really emphasize the why you need somebody to respect your boundary, because that why will change everything. If you just say what your boundary is without explaining the why, it won't make sense to that person. Even if it makes sense to you, it won't make sense to them, because the way you think, the way you perceive things, it's not the same way people perceive things. It's just not, and that's okay. So there you have it. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions or you want to share your experience with boundaries, do let me know and I'll be happy to answer. And if you want to check out more content on mental health and self-improvement, I'll leave some link up on the screen, and I hope to see you next time.